It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream on the Nielsen Media Cool Bet Network, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. And hey, nothing like delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich. Head into your weekend. Maybe you want to save it and have it on Saturday night for the Oilers and the Golden Knights. Handsome Tom Gazzola is down at the rink. I guess kind of up in the rink, down at the rink. Right, Tommy?
That's a great way to describe it. You nailed it, Dusty, to get rid of all the confusion. But I'm back in the Loge level. Today's open practice for season seat holders, so there's a lot of people here. Concessions are open. The team put through the paces by Jay Woodcroft. I'm watching them on the ice. And I go up to the Loge level because I don't want to bother people while I'm doing this. And I like it's a little bit quieter up here. It's cold. And last time I was here on location and did the Oil Stream, I was approached by security. And so they came up to me after that day and they're like, hey, just let us know if you're going up there because we don't know if you're just like a fan that wandered up there or not. So today I let the guys in security know. I'm like, hey, tell Denise, who's in charge of security and everything on these days, that I'm going up there. And so far, so good. So nobody's come for me. And if they do, I've got my media pass on the table so they don't interrupt.
Got to have that ready to go.
Yes.
All right, so what's going on? McLeod, Shore, do we got any updates? What's happening?
So Shore is on the ice. Looks like he's okay. I'm watching him out there right now. And I am watching Ryan McLeod take part. From what I've seen since I've been here for the last 15 minutes, he's wearing a non-contact jersey.
Okay.
In the baby blue, and he hasn't really done too much from.
I was going to say, if he's wearing non-contact right now, that's still going to be a little bit, right? I would think.
Yeah, I would think so. But it's encouraging that he's on the ice. And Dusty, just a little tidbit on McLeod. Like it sounds like when he got hurt, he actually had to go to the hospital briefly to get things checked out. So kind of scary, and when you hear that, but looks like he's coming back and he's on the mend. So I don't know what the timeline's like. We'll probably hear from Jay Woodcroft later on Ryan McLeod and then Devon Shore.
Tommy, we saw in that last game, which was a victory once again, and they've won 5 in a row, setting up a huge game here against the Golden Knights. We'll get to that in a second. But we did see them tweak the blue line a little bit. Desharnais getting bumped up with Nurse and kind of came back around to in the third period with Ceci. Obviously, Woodcroft's trying to get a look at Nurse and Desharnais and see what it might look like. Do you think he's ready to go there? I'm talking from Woodcroft's perspective. Do you think he runs that back against the Golden Knights? Because that would be a good test if it could be ready for the postseason. Like, how do you expect them to work on this over the next 2 weeks or so?
Well, it was interesting seeing that pairing when the game started against Arizona the other night. And, I mean, to me, I was like, what's the plan here? Is that to steady CC with Kulak? Is that to get Desharnais a look with Nurse? Is that a sign or a shot at Nurse for some rough play this season, to be honest? We've talked about it many times. And then he got away from it later in the game. I think midway through, they switched it back to quote-unquote normal. So what that tells us is Matthias Ekholm is the number one defenseman on this team. No doubt about that. How will Darnell Nurse respond? Will he take it positively? Will he mope? Will he be negative about it because he's not quote-unquote the number one? That'll be interesting. I think he'll be fine about it. I think he'll handle it like a pro because he truly is one. But, he's been knocked down the pecking order, and that means he's got to play better. So I'm not sure who he'll be paired up with tomorrow against the Golden Knights. I'm assuming my best guess is they'll go back to Kulak and Desharnais. But, I mean, now that we've seen this experimentation happen in a game, we could see it again at some point, depending on, I suppose, the opposition and what Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson are thinking.
The number one pair all season was Nurse and Ceci. And I think Bouchard played over 26 minutes the other night because it was like 5 minutes on the power play. But Ekholm-Bouchard is now your number one pairing, isn't it? It's taken 10 games, but I think it's pretty clearly identified right now, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. They've emerged. Ekholm, I mean, look at his stats since he's
Yeah,
come
he's been a
over from
monster.
Nashville. Incredible. And the effect he has had on the blue line and then Evan Bouchard in particular. Listen, Evan Bouchard has elevated his play. I think he still had some really rough patches in this last 10 games, but overall, he is much better than the Evan Bouchard we saw for the first, 4.5 months of this season. So the ripple effect is taking place. Now, let's see what Darnell Nurse can do with whoever he's paired up with. Can he clean up his game? Can he be sharper in the defensive zone? Can he make better plays and decisions? And same with Cody Ceci, because Cody Ceci, to be honest with you, Dusty, has had some rough stretches as well this season. So those two guys were heavily relied upon this year, last year, and they need to elevate their game going down these last 10 games and into the postseason.
Let's dive into your Boston Pizza Appetizer here on this Friday episode of the Oil Stream. Next Wednesday, the Oilers play Monday, Tuesday. Next Wednesday, we will be at the South Common Boston Pizza. If you want to pop by and join us, South Edmonton Common Boston Pizza. Very much looking forward to it. And hey, if you're looking for a place to go watch the game tomorrow night, if you don't have tickets to the game, hit up a Boston Pizza Lounge daily from 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. Tommy, are you getting some line combinations right now? Is that what's happening?
I am watching them, and because we were just talking about the defense, right?
Yeah,
and I was watching Nurse, and he was with Desharnais right now. And Kulak was with Ceci. So if that's
Okay.
an indicator, they're going through some regroup, some D-to-D with a little bit of a forecheck / breakout. And so guys are rotating through, but what I did see was Ceci paired up with Kulak briefly, but I don't know. It's just they rotate through sometimes. I haven't seen like true line rushes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep eyes on that. Once again, Boston Pizza Appetizer daily 2 to 5, 9 to close. That is your happy hour. And if you go on and watch the game at a Boston Pizza Lounge on Saturday, you're going to very much enjoy yourself. Tommy, this is a huge game on Saturday against the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are 6 points up right now.
Yeah.
Can the Oilers win the division still if they lose on Saturday night?
I was thinking about that this morning. I think they could lose one of these 4 games against LA and Vegas. If you lose 2, if you give up points in overtime, I think it's going to be really, really tough because both the Kings and the Golden Knights are just crushing it, as are the Oilers. But if you think you're going to make a run for first, you need these 2 wins in regulation against Vegas, and then you need at least 1 in regulation against LA, and a bonus if you can get one to OT and happen to lose. And if you lose one in regulation, I think 3 of the 4 against those 2 teams that remain would solidify their opportunity at taking first. If they don't do that, I think they're
if they fall behind by 8 points tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's going to be tough to overcome with 9 games left, man. Right? Like that's not like they're not a good team. They haven't had a good season. That's just a spot you're in because Vegas has been just as good as you have, if not better, for a good stretch here, right? So
you need 2 regulation wins against Vegas to give yourself a hope, and then at least 1 against LA.
Yeah, if you lose on Saturday night, you'd be 8 points back. You basically need Vegas to collapse the rest of the way, and then you got to take care of business pretty much the rest of the way, right? So, but with that being said, I think the Oilers are probably going to win on Saturday night. I think they're going to get it done here against the Golden Knights. Golden Knights, if you look at Skinner right now, like as far as goaltenders, at least in the Pacific goes, Tommy, Korpisalo's actually been pretty good since he joined the Kings, better than he was with Columbus. Seattle has question marks in net, and Vegas has question marks in net. I mean, it's kind of a coin flip to me with Skinner and Korpisalo. The Oilers could end up having a goaltending advantage in some of these series, which sounds crazy to say.
It does. It really does sound crazy. And good on Stu Skinner. And he has not been without fault. We've had some interesting texts come in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if people are just trying to defend Jack Campbell or they think that Stuart Skinner is getting too much credit for his play. But people are saying that Skinner hasn't been particularly great, but they've played really well. They've gotten the results when he's in the net, and there's more confidence when Stuart Skinner is between the pipes for the Oilers right now than Jack Campbell, and it's completely understandable. I mean, we've watched Jack Campbell's game fall apart again in the last month and a bit after a very, very good January. So to say that the Oilers might have a goalie advantage is crazy, and it's a thin one. Because, there are times where Skinner gets beat on some iffy goals too.
Yeah.
He's young. He's just kind of hardening himself as a starting netminder in the National Hockey League. But yeah, you could make the argument that, Vegas and their patchwork of goalies, they've had 5 starters this year, including former Oiler Laurent Brossoit. Seattle, terrible goaltending this year, average-wise. And then LA, Phoenix Copley saved their season, Dusty.
Yeah.
They were struggling, and Phoenix Copley, of all people, came in and just went on fire and helped them reignite their season. So the goaltending thing will be interesting, and I think the Oilers are in a good position. I am looking forward to this game on Saturday. Edmonton has played Vegas
It's a
very
playoff
well
game.
this season.
It's a huge playoff game. This is going to be
Big
great.
time. Yep.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. It's the Western Conference is wide open. It really is.
It's going to be fun. Whole playoff picture is going to be great. I don't know how it's going to sort itself out, but I can't wait to set it up. All right, Tommy. So Connor McDavid scores 60 goals. He's on a ridiculous pace for one of the best era-adjusted offensive seasons of all time. He's going to bring in all the hardware again. He's already pretty much won everything he can win. He's going to add the rocket to it this year. We were talking on our show this morning. You got Wayne Gretzky up here. He got the cups. He got the individual numbers. He got everything. And then you got Mark Messier, who's got the 5 cups. Really good offensive numbers as well, but not as impressive as Connor McDavid offensively. What do you think? If McDavid wins 1 Stanley Cup with the Oilers, does he kind of settle in there in second behind Wayne Gretzky as far as best player in franchise history? Does he have to bring in multiple Stanley Cups to get himself into that conversation just because of what other people have already accomplished as far as a legacy goes?
Yeah, legacy-wise, I think 1 Stanley Cup puts him ahead of Messier, especially if he stays here longer than Messier did. And listen, Messier stuck it out a couple years more after the Gretzky trade, and then he needed to go and all that.
But he won that cup without Wayne, right? Which in the overall conversation is big, I think, for him.
Absolutely. It was proof that group was a championship caliber team. Then he played, one more season after that, kind of held out, and then they traded him to New York. And then he had to go and show that he could do it on his own with another franchise, which is incredible. So I think Connor will become number 2 if they win a cup past Messier. That's my assessment. I think Connor McDavid becomes number 1 all-time as an Edmonton Oiler ahead of Gretzky if there's multiple Stanley Cups and he stays here another 10 years. I think he becomes number 1.
That's fair. If let's say if McDavid wins 3 Stanley Cups, plays 18 years as a member of the Edmonton Oilers, wins 6 or 7 Hart trophies, I guess the legacy, it could be there. You're right. I guess it could. It might be a little far-fetched, but maybe not, right? They're going to pay him whatever the hell he wants, so it's up to him. And if he decides to stay in Edmonton for his entire career, that alone's going to help the conversation.
It really is, hard to fathom that, right? Given Wayne Gretzky, everything he did in the 10 years plus that he was an Oiler, if you include the WHA seasons, and the 4 Stanley Cups, it truly a dynasty. They were voted the greatest team of the last century in the National Hockey League for a reason. But if McDavid delivers multiple Stanley Cups and stays an Oiler for more than 1,000 games, more than 1,500 games, he wins all that individual hardware. And this team is a great team for a long time in a 32-team National Hockey League. I think he could make a case for himself as the greatest Oiler of all time, maybe even the best player of all time. 4 cups is hard. You got to get to 1 first, Dusty.
You got to get to 1. And that's nowadays for what Tampa's done, that alone is near impossible to do, right? So
I think 1 cup gets him past Messier. If we're getting into the 2-3 range and they're a contender and they go to
a full career at Edmonton and
a full year, I think he could become the best Oiler of all time.
Wayne Gretzky played 9 NHL seasons with the Oilers.
Yeah.
Next year is McDavid's 9th NHL season. So you're already at that same sort of time frame. So which is kind of makes me feel really old. But anyway, it's something that he can certainly accomplish. We've talked about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a lot this season, and I know you have on the pre and post, and I have on our show. We have on this. He's got a crack at 100 points here. He's going to get 90, 95 for sure. Greatest season of his career by far. Talk Tommy, this has been like a significant jump. Like Draisaitl's doing what he's done. He's tied a career high, whatever. Is it just Nuge is on a deadly power play and he's taking advantage of it, or like how or what about his game has allowed him to really blow up this year?
Yeah. This was the type of Nuge that we saw in 1920, right? Like this was the type of player he was. He was having a tremendous season. I think he was on pace for 80 or 90 points that year. He was on pace for 30 goals. And then the pandemic hit and it just crushed the rest of the year. I think that threw him off the last couple of seasons because they were bad years for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's in the prime of his career. He showed that he's still capable of being that guy from 3 seasons ago. And I think he finally, after he got through the lull of the last 2 weird seasons, is back to where he should be. And yes, he's benefiting from a historically or near historically good power play. And I don't see why he can't be an 80-point player for a couple more years, 70 to 80 points. Like, he's in a great spot. They move him around the lineups. Sometimes he's a winger. Sometimes he's a centerman. He's a great setup man on that power play. He has a great shot when he's shooting and not passing up opportunities. He can bury like we saw the other night. This is the Nugent Hopkins that I think if there was no pandemic, we would be seeing consistently right now.
Yeah, well, I think what he's done this year, and if that power play stays together, he's an 80-point guy next year for sure, too. Even if it's like a little bit of a step back, he's still going to be an 80-point guy. All right, let's dive into inside the numbers for Cool Bet. Stay cool, bet responsibly. The line, actually, let me double check. The line for tomorrow's game, there's only 3 games tonight, and neither of these teams are playing. Let me see. Yep. No, the lines aren't up yet. The line for this game will be up probably later today at Cool Bet. The Oilers will be a favorite. The Golden Knights were a dog against Calgary, an underdog against Calgary, which was kind of easy money. So there'll be a dog here against Edmonton again. But the numbers I want to go at, just to circle back around to McDavid here for inside the numbers for Cool Bet. Which of these facts blows your mind the most, Tommy, okay?
Okay.
10 games this year with 4 points or more, as opposed to 7 games with 0. So that's one fact. Like, he's had 7 games with 0 points, 10 with 4 or more, 1, I think, with 5. He's 28 points clear of anybody else. The next guy is obviously Leon, but he's got a 28-point cushion, which is ridiculous. Or he's almost doubled Austin Matthews in goals and points a year after having this conversation of who's the best in the world. Like, he's not beating him. He's almost freaking doubled him up, which is Matthews isn't having a great year and he's having an exceptional year, but it is what it is. So, or I guess we could throw in there's still a conversation for 70 goals. Which one of these kind of blows your mind the most?
I think the 70 goals, because I think you and I talked about like 130 to 140 heading into the season point-wise, maybe 60. I went low. I think I had him in like the 55 to 60 goal range, if I'm remembering my bad prediction correctly. And here he is with 10 games to go, needs 10 goals. Favorable opponents. He's playing just absolutely incredible right now. The 70 goal one stands out to me, and then the 10 games of 4 or more points in a game. That's huge. That's incredible. For Matt Cassian, who likes to joke about this on the pre and post, and I'm sure on Two Guys and a Goalie, Cass goes, well, it's crazy that he's blowing out the 1B best player in the world by so many points. And I always get a chuckle out of that after Matthews won the hardware last year. This guy, he won't tell it to your face that he's pissed off because he got overlooked or he didn't get accolades last year personally, even though he had such a good season. He just goes and shows you on the ice. So to
just
me,
goes
it's
and wins everything.
the 4+ point games, and then the 70 that's in range for him. That just outstanding, and the fact that he 150 points, it's crazy, dude. It's just crazy.
The fact that he's more likely to get 4 points in a game than 0 is just. That's stupid. It's just stupid, yeah. And if he takes a run at 70 hasn't been done since 92, 93. So that's 30 years since somebody scored 70 goals, and that was actually 76. That was the year Solani and McGillney both
Yep.
scored 76. Nobody's done it since then. These are the only players who have scored 70 goals in the history of the game. Wayne Gretzky obviously did it multiple times. Brett Hull did it 3 times as well. Mario Lemieux did it twice, also scored 69 2 other times.
Yep.
Yari Curry, Teemu Selanne, Phil Esposito. I already mentioned McGillney. There's one other guy. Do you know the other guy who got 70?
The other guy who got 70 goals in a season. Esposito, Gretzky, Curry, Selanne, McGillney,
Hull, Lemieux.
Hull, Lemieux.
And?
God, this has
You
to
want a
be in
hint?
the
I can give
80s.
you a hint.
One hint.
He did it playing alongside Wayne Gretzky.
It would have to be
Not in
Luc
Edmonton.
Robitaille?
No.
Not in Edmonton?
Bernie Nichols.
Wow, Bernie Nichols.
88-89 with the Kings. Yeah, 70 with Wayne Gretzky in 88-89. So, yeah, nice season for Bernie Nichols. I don't think he ever came close to that ever again. I gotta look up his next closest season. Like, he had some decent offense.
He was a great player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He came on our
really
radio
was.
show one time and said it's easier to score goals now than it was back then. And that's been a running bit forever. Bernie Nichols had 70 and 150 points in 88-89.
Wow.
His highest other total was 84-85 when he had 46 goals. So it was a pretty good bump playing with Wayne for Bernie Nichols. Yeah.
And all it got him was a trade to Edmonton.
Yeah, exactly. That didn't even last long, right? Yeah, 2 seasons.
Nope.
49 and 46 games, and was traded to the Devils midway through the second year. So, yeah, not great. All right, Tommy, we'll let you get back to practice, buddy. Good luck with your pre- and post-game show. It should be an excellent game against the Golden Knights. Very much looking forward to this. Have some fun with that, buddy. Get us out of here and enjoy your weekend.
All right, you too, Dusty. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash the thumbs up button. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.